Good afternoon. My name is Cody Heindel. Today I'm going to talk to you about the proper maintenance, care, and how to store both hand tools and power tools for fire service applications. By the end of today, hopefully I can give you a little bit more insight on or different ways on how to store, take care, and maintain your power tools, such as a chainsaw or a pig-headed axe. In front of me I have a steel chainsaw, which is similar to the one I use on my fire apparatus. So with this, there's components and parts of the saw that could have potential problems, break, and you should know how to use. So up here you have your bar, which is this big white piece, and then your chain, which sits on your bar. Back here you have your chain brake, which allows your chain to spin freely or not spin at all. You have your pull cord to start. You have your bar oil fill here. You have your fuel fill here, your throttle and your choke. And then on the back side here, you also have your decompression switch. So as of using, you start your chainsaw, you go up to the roof, or you're cutting down a tree if you got it down in your way somewhere. So you start your saw, you use your saw, and once you get done with your saw, you got to take care of it, clean it, and put it back into proper in-service working order. So what I like to do for maintaining and checking my saws after I use them, I first start off by opening up the fuel levels and checking the fuel level on the saw. If it's under 3/4, I fill it. But personally, I like to keep my saws full at all times. Then I check my bar oil, which is another thing I like to keep full. If it's not full, fill it. And use the desired bar oil, whether it's the stuff that you guys use on your rigs, what your department uses, or use the brand manufacturer, such as Steel bar oil. Also, as far as fueling, you can run pre-mixed VP fuel or hot fuel, whatever you want to use, or you can pre-mix it with 50-1, because this saw it runs a 50-1 ratio. As far as chain and barb maintenance goes, you check your chains, make sure it's sharp, no bent teeth, no bent rakers, nothing's broken. If there is, you replace the chain by taking this cover off with these 2 screws, which you get a tool called a scrunch with your tool, which is a tool that fits these nuts, and then there's also a screwdriver to adjust your tensioner on your bar to see how tight your chain is. If you have to do that, you remove this cover, take your chain off, orient your new chain to the direction of the blade or the bar spin, and then you replace this and tighten your chain. You don't want too much play. You don't want your guide chains in the bottom to come out so you lose a chain when you're cutting. You don't want it too tight, because if it's too tight, your chain won't spin. But as far as wiping off your tools, you wipe them off with a rag, make sure all your grease is gone. If you got to change your air filters, that's back in here. But pretty much simple maintenance. Keep your fuel full, run the right fuel, keep your bar oil filled, keep your saws clean, keep everything in neat working order. I know it can be hard with all the tar and stuff coming off the roof when you're cutting vent holes, but keep it nice, clean, and in working order. Make sure your chains, bars, everything's all good. If it does not work right, you got to take it out of service, mark it out of service, tag it, date it, and do everything to your fire department's policies and procedures. That's pretty much it for a chainsaw. Just keep it in good working orders, and you'll be fine. Now, moving to your hand tools. This is a pickaxe, as most of you know. You got your pick, your blade, your handle. On this one I have a hockey tape grip with oxygen tubing for a little more grip and easier to hold on with gloves. You use these on a call, whether it's cutting through walls, chopping on roofs because your chainsaw doesn't work anymore, whatever the case may be. Make sure your edges are nice and tuned up. If there's rust on them, you take a wire wheel and you get all the rust and stuff off. Make sure everything's sharp, there's no deformities. You got to sharpen them, grind them down. Put a protective coating of oil on them. Whether it's WD-40, PB Blaster, something that'll help resist the rust if it's sitting in the cabinets of your truck, gets wet. But make sure you keep everything clean. As far as the handle goes, you check, you look for stuff that's splintering off of it. Splinters, cracks, if it's loose, make sure everything's tight, working order. You don't want a head of an axe to fall off, or you don't want your handle to break. So keep your tools in good working order. And again with this, keep it sharp, keep it oiled so it doesn't rust, keep it in good shape, because your axe will never fail you on a fire ground. Your saws might start, your K12s might not start, but your axe will always start. So as far as that, just be thorough, keep it stored where it's not going to get banged around if you go around a corner too fast in a compartment. And then as far as both of them, if you want to wash them with mild soap and water. Make sure you don't get any of the key components on here like the air filter or anything wet. If you're just looking to wipe it down with mild soap and water. This you can spray with mild soap and water just to keep it clean. Or, as they tell you in Fire One, go back to the manufacturer's recommendations. So, I mean, as far as manufacturer's recommendations for some stuff on a steel, they'll recommend you use steel fuel, steel bar oil, just to keep everything nice and consistent. It'll also help you with warranties if something goes wrong on your saws. The axes is pretty self-explanatory. There's nothing to really go against manufacturer's recommendations. If it breaks, use the proper handle for it. I mean, make sure it fits right. Don't do anything out of the ordinary. This, you get a bent bar, go buy another steel bar. I like to keep extras on the truck with me. Extra chains, extra bars, fuel filter, oil or air filters, spark plugs, extra scrunches. Just to make sure on a fire scene if something goes wrong, a plug gets gummed up and it gets flooded, you can take and change your plugs. You change your air filter, you can change your chain in case you hit something hard. But other than that, make sure everything's in working order. So again, today, I hope I was able to give you a little insight on how I take care of my tools, from the basic stuff of an axe, how to keep the rust off of it, how to make sure your handles are in good shape, how to make sure your blades are in good shape, how to keep an edge on your blade, how to keep the rust off your blade, how to clean your axe. And as far as your saw goes, how to change your chain, make sure your bar is in good shape, make sure your chain's in good shape, how to start your saws, all the different parts of the saws, how to keep them clean, how to keep them operational. Just keep a tool in shape and make it last longer. So again, thank you for your time. I hope I was able to teach you on how to maintain your hand tools, or at least some of them that I could share with you today. Hopefully you got something out of this video. Have a nice day.